The statement is generations are fundamentally not different from one another, but their environments are. Well, it's interesting. I was just noting that if you look around the symposium site, there's not a whole amount of mingling between different generations at the coffee bar and inside at the tables. It's very interesting. You see people socializing more within their own generations than they are across generations.
I do agree with what he said, because I think generations are shaped by the conditions they were brought up in. But essentially, I think each one individual has the same aspirations, the same goals, the same feelings. But because of the environment in which they grew up in, they have different values, and that acts as a barrier sometimes between generations. But fundamentally, I think they are the same, and and each generation has the same aspirations and goals as the other one. I think they're fundamentally the same.
People tend to talk to people they know, and I'm no exception, and I suppose they probably feel most comfortable with people who are like them, so in my case relatively old. But I would make another suggestion here, which is if a young person wants to speak to an old person, they should just come up and talk to him or her, argue with him or her. That's already happened to me 2 or 3 times. I've enjoyed it very much. I spent much of my life arguing with people of all generations, so I see no reason why that shouldn't happen here, and I think it just takes a bit of effort.
I think it's not to do and who's going to take the first step. I think we should all interact together, and I think that the older generation can also learn from the younger generation, and of course it's the other way around. But here at the St. Gallen Symposium, we will all learn from each other, and we all want to, we want to do something, and we want to create future, and that's why we are here.
My view is that far too much time is spent listening to older folks, and what I love about coming to St. Gallen is that so much of this event is dominated by the thoughts and ideas and creativity of young people. So my advice to all the leaders of tomorrow and all the young people here is not to be too polite, not to try to be too nice to us older folk, but to go your own way, forge your own path. And if that means sometimes rebelling, well, just damn well do it, rebel. You know, we've all had plenty of time to make our mistakes. It's time for you guys to make the decisions and make your own mistakes too.
The best leaders that I've met, and I've been very impressed by the leaders of tomorrow that I've met here today, are those who are not afraid to march to a different drummer, who don't always follow the popular approach, who focus on a purpose, something they set out to do in their life, and go after it. And so it would be my advice to all the young leaders here of the future to decide what they want to accomplish in life, write it down, share it with ones they love, and work on delivering that purpose. It may not be popular. They may have to go against their peers, but I think that focus to make a difference in this world is really what we'd like to enable them to do.
I believe in Stephen's statement. However, I do believe that the best leaders are the ones who engage in respectful discourse. And so I would push the leaders of tomorrow to always be respectful, but also to have the courage to have divergent perspectives and to offer those up in the hope that they can collaborate with the leaders of today and not denigrate the leaders of today. I don't see the value in tearing people down and saying that you mucked something up, so it's our turn to hopefully get it right. I do believe that we always have the opportunity to learn from one another, to share different perspectives, and to jointly work towards a brighter future.
Thanks a lot for Bernard's wonderful statement on a call for respect for each other between the leaders of today and tomorrow. He rightly points out that it makes not big sense to tear down the leaders of today for the mess in which they have left the leaders of tomorrow. It's rather to encourage the young people to work together and not repeat the mistakes that have been made before.
Thank you, Florian, for your statement. Unfortunately, it's not true at all, and the leaders of tomorrow and the leaders of today need to work together and can't be held responsible for all the errors which have been made in the past. I'm part of a young foreign policy think tank, and we just feel every day that we have to work together with the other generation to have a real impact.
I agree that we have to collaborate with our elders in resolving any differences. I believe that the class of generation is happening every day in our workplaces, in our homes, in our interactions with government. And I agree that we have to step up to the plate and become part of the solution and work collaboratively with our elders to become a part of the solution and not just protest.
It doesn't always have to be a clash. That's what it's all about. It has to be exchange of opinions. And opinions are usually different when you're 20 and when you're 60. It's important to realize that we are all sometimes right and sometimes we are all wrong. So it's about constant communication. That's how we solve problems.
Yeah, I think that actually the expression clash is probably not a very good one. We have common interests, of course, to a certain extent. Sometimes the youngers live on the costs of the olders, and sometimes it's the other way around. But in the long term, we have a common interest, and therefore it's important that we talk with each other as we do here in St. Gallen.